Undefined. The GD is in love with this. We have a lot. It's a not new thing in this the GD 2014. It wasn't in the old one. To find something to be considered an expression that's undefined. And there are a few ways. If it's in a graph, an undefined in an x and y is a vertical line, right? We have done a lot of this, undefined. This is an undefined slope. If it's on a fraction, if you have a 0 in the denominator, it's also called undefined. Or, which is our case here, if you have a square root, you cannot have a number smaller than 0. A number smaller than 0 means a negative number. You cannot have a negative number under a root. There is something different about the negative sign, which I'm worried about the students when you're going to test. There is a sign, this one. If you're going to type negative, you can't use the subtraction sign. This is subtraction. This is negative. Oh. And if you don't type the right one, you're not going to get the right answer. So be careful. And I'm sure this might cause some suffering on the test. If you're going to type a negative number, use this. This is the negative number. I saw in every chapter some questions about undefined. When you're doing graphs, it shows. When you're doing fractions, it shows. When you're doing roots, it shows. Okay? So in our case, since we have a square root, we are looking for what? For the numbers listed here. Select those for which the following expression is undefined, which means which value do I choose for x? That when you put it to the second power and you subtract by 1.5, and don't worry, you have calculators, you will get here a negative number. And you have these options because I want you to make this expression to have the condition to be called undefined. You don't need to substitute every single one of them. If you think about it, you know, if you pick A, it means all these conditions must work, that when you subtract by 1.5, it will give you a negative number. I know that minus 2 times minus 2 is positive 4. And if I do 4 minus 1.5, right? If you have $4 and you spent $1.50, you still have money. You're not negative. You don't need to know the answer. So it can't be, I don't even bother to look at the other ones. Because the condition, you have a time test. So you don't need to do every single one to confirm that this is not what you need. Okay? Get the easiest one. Another thing, make sure that you understand, I don't disagree. When you do this to the second power, minus 1.5 to the second power, it's going to become positive something. Okay, bigger than this, because you're multiplying this by itself. Well, just by the elimination, it's D, right? But let's go through D. What is minus 1? So all of this is gone. Minus 1, if I make this to the second power, right, my x is saying, minus 1 times minus 1 is 1. So this would be 1 minus 1.5. And 1 minus 1.5 is minus negative half, which is undefined. Okay? If it's 0, 0 to the second power is 0, minus 1.5 will give you minus 1.5, negative in the square root, undefined. If you have 1, so this is to the second power, Now I'm making this 1 to the second power. 1 times 1 is 1, minus 1.5. Same thing like here. So all of this will give you undefined. Okay?